Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today my guest is Rohan Shivkumar, who is the co-director of Nostalgia for the Future. So do watch the whole video, like the video, and subscribe my YouTube channel. Thank you. So sir, what inspired you to make a film like Nostalgia for the
Have you seen the film? Okay. So I mainly am, like I said, I'm an architect, and I am also a full-time teacher. I teach architecture. That's what I do. uh, At a college of architecture in Bombay called the Kamla Raheja College of Architecture. That's where I spend most of my days. And my partner is a filmmaker, Avijit Mukul Kishore. He is trained as a filmmaker. And in 2009, I was part of a research project that was called Cinema City, where we were looking at the relationship between cinema and the city of Bombay. That was the part of the project. It was a multidisciplinary project, and I really got interested in the way that film can be used as a way of exploring space, telling stories concerning space. Also, just interested in it as a medium as well, as just a sort of thing that can be such a powerful and beautiful kind of art medium. So that way, so that's the other thing I got really interested in. And it was, I think, somewhere in 2015-16 that I felt like there was something I wanted to say concerning architecture. And at the same time, Mukul, my partner, also was thinking about similar things from his point of view within his discipline, which is that of cinema. I think all of this started um, after I guess the elections that had just been held in 2014, where we felt like some ideas of what we call Indian was beginning to change. So we both decided to approach this idea of Indian identity and modernity through both our disciplines, architecture and film. And both of us have always been interested in the idea of the home as the place. Mukul's first film was called Snapshots from a Family album, and was really interested in looking at his own family history. And I had also done some work in housing and things like that. So I think our interests seem to overlap. So then we wrote a proposal to Films Division India, which was at that time commissioning films from outside the organization. And luckily for us, they approved a brief, and then we went ahead and made the film. So um, since then, it's been a very fruitful sort of experience, because the film started doing very well for us. It got screened in many different spaces, whether those are film festivals, exhibitions, academic institutions. So, and in India and around the world. So it became something that became some sort of a revelation for me, because it seemed like a great medium to begin to explore speaking of things, to be able to make arguments concerning things.
and sir, how long it took to complete the film?
So the film was commissioned. It would take, I think it took around, it wasn't continuous work, so I need to tell you how much we worked on it, right? Conceptualizing it, of course, was something that was in my head and on Mukul's head. So that happened, I think, across a long time. But the actual making itself, we shot for, I think, a total number of, let me see, okay, one day in Ahmedabad, uh, one day in Baroda, 3 days in Chandigarh, 4 days in Delhi, and that was the shooting. That was it. Yeah. And then there was, then we didn't, then nothing happened for a long time, until the producer started to put pressure on us to deliver the film. And then we were like, अच्छा फिर film बनानी पड़ेगी, तो बहुत footage था. So then Mukul literally edited the film in 2 weeks, and I wrote So what happens is, there's an opening sequence in Nostalgia for the Future. So he cut that opening sequence, and then I wrote the script in 2 days in college. Once I saw the opening sequence, and then Mukul cut the rest of the film according to that script. So that's how it worked actually.
And sir, what was the most difficult challenge while making it?
The most difficult challenge was for me personally. It was I was working with a new medium. I'd never worked with film before, so for me it was trusting Mukul to do what he had to do, knowing as much as I, knowing the limits of what I knew, and being very certain about what I didn't know. Because when you're working with other disciplines in a field that you're not trained in, it's important to know that every single craft, every single medium has needs a certain craftsmanship and expertise, and there's training that's necessary for it. Did not want to claim that I had the training for a field that I did not have any relationship with. I mean, did not. I saw a lot of films, but I had not been trained in it. Watching films doesn't make you an expert.
And sir, what have you like studies like during your graduation days?
So I did my bachelor's of architecture in Bombay from LS Raheja College of Architecture. Then I went for my master's to the United States. I did a 2 year master's course in urban design and a course that was called Regional and International Studies in Architecture. That was what the name was called. That was what the course was called. And then I came back in 1997 December, and I started teaching at at the same architecture school that I'm teaching at right now. Then for a while, I had my own private practice. I did some research work. I did work with the Urban Design Research Institute of India, some urban design work. And after a while, I started my own firm. I did some architecture work as well. Until the schools asked me whether I can join as a full timer, at which time I said yes. So in 2004, I became a full time faculty member at Kamla Raheja College of Architecture. And I've been there for the past 20 years.
Wow, wow. And sir, how big was the like crew while making the film?
How big was the crew? So on the shoot, there was Mukul and I. There was a sound recordist, and there was an assistant. That's it.
And sir, before like making Nostalgia for the Future, like you were interested in documentaries, like you used to watch documentary.
So, like I said, my partner Mukul is a documentary filmmaker, and he has always been making films since the time I first got to know him. So yes, I've been watching a lot of films, documentary films with him, a lot of Indian documentary films, films made by our friends who are filmmakers, looking at the history of documentary film in India. Those also were of interest. And even before that, I was an avid film watcher. So I like watching films. So yeah.
And sir, it's a really interesting film because for me, like there are no characters. The characters are only buildings, and to tell
Mhm.
the politics using buildings is very like very new for me. I haven't seen like it's mind blowing.
Thank- Thanks. And that was the idea. We were not interested in making a film that is the typical architecture film that, you know, um, in many ways fetishizes the architectural object as this amazing thing that everyone needs to look at, or even the great architect. ये देखो क्या किया था उन्होंने type of a film. What we wanted was a film that was exploring ideas, that ideas that are there within each and every one of our lives, that we all live in perpetually, and that are being affected, that are affecting who we are. So we were really interested in how that relationship of who we are meant to be and who we are, the difference between the two, is mediated by architecture. So that's what our attempt was. Yeah.
And sir, like, did you while making it, did you had any script or like while editing you made the script?
So while making it, we had only an idea. In fact, the Gandhi Ashram literally got added on while we were shooting. It wasn't part of the original script, original idea. The script only got done in 2 days before. So Mukul cut the first sequence, which is that, and then I got the sense of what the film can be structured like. I had structured the film already कि ये होने वाला है, वो होने वाला है, वो सब कर दिया था मैंने, लेकिन लिखा नहीं था. So once that was said, then I sat and I wrote the whole thing in English, because English is my first language. And then Mukul sat and translated it into the Hindi that you hear on in the film.
And sir, currently like it's screening anywhere or in any online
Nostalgia. So we haven't made it kind of freely screenable yet online. The other film we made, Lovely Villa, is available on YouTube, and I do get a lot of people kind of wanting to see it there, which is good. But Nostalgia gets screened whenever people invite us. to screen it. Our producers are a little more kind of, let's say, hesitant about giving free screening rights to everyone. So that's the reason why it's not. But maybe one day I'll just put it up online and pirate myself and we'll see.
Sir, are you currently like writing or shooting something?
Yes, we are currently working on a film that is looking at again questions of identity and performativity and and it's at looking at the relationship between storytelling and space. So looking at the landscape of Braj, which is around Mathura. So Mathura, Vrindavan, Gokul, where there's a pilgrimage that connects all the sites that are associated with the god Krishna. And every single one of those sites along the pilgrimage has a different story that they tell about Krishna. So the film is about the relationship between story and space.
And currently, sir, if somebody like wants to assist you, like something, how they can approach you, sir?
Well, honestly, since I'm not a full-time filmmaker, the film, I mean, right now Mukul is supposed to be editing the film, so he also is busy doing other things. So he finds time in the middle to do the editing. So there is no, I don't have any like permanent work as a filmmaker. I teach primarily full time, and these films are made whenever I have the time or have an idea to make the film. So uh, I don't know whether I'll ever have any space for assistance per se. But when there is a film, we do find like especially on the shoot, an assistant is required sometimes when the footage that is being gotten needs to be kind of logged and indexed. That's when an assistant is working. So we call people as and when on project basis. I don't think we have a permanent assistant. We used to have one for a while. It's a boy called Sabri Pandyan. He was with us through, I think, four films for a long time. He was on Nostalgia for the Future right up to Lovely Villa. Now he has a job, which obviously pays him better and also more regularly. So he's there now. Yeah.
And sir, like your favorite films and filmmakers, if you could recommend some.
I mean, I like many films. I also don't like many films. My range of films that I like go all the way from mainstream Hollywood and Bollywood all the way up to art films and experimental films. So I have favorites films I have in all kinds of categories. So when people ask me that question, I never know what to pick. But I usually pick like the top three that whichever is in my head. I'll tell that comes up. One is by the Thai filmmaker Apichat Pongvira Setakul. It's a film called I don't know which one to pick, but I'm going to pick I Don't Want to Sleep Alone. Then there is a film. Let me see. Who else do I pick? Well, I like Tarkovsky films, so Mirror is what I'll pick for today. And who else do I pick? Chal, I'll pick one from India. Have you seen um, Urf Professor by Pankaj Advani? Uh, that is also a great film. Urf Professor by Pankaj Advani. That's my next. This is literally out of the top of my head. Okay, so I have no kind of, let's say, favorite films as such. Uh, I have a letterbox page somewhere, so you can check it out on that if you'd like. What my ratings are. And I also mirror it on an Instagram page called An Architect's List. So whatever I watch every day, I log it. My last thing what I logged, let me see. I think I logged the holdovers last. Yeah.
And sir, like if somebody wants to become a filmmaker, like what advice would you give them?
I am not a filmmaker, so I can't give you advice, right? But I can just say get training or work with someone. It is important to treat every craft like just because we all have phone or just because all of our phones have cameras doesn't make us all photographers. It's the same thing with filmmaking. You need to know the craft of making things. Like everyone can write, right? But that doesn't make them a novelist. It's the same thing.
Sir, thank you so much, sir, for joining. Such
Thank you. Thank you.
such a pleasure, sir. And
Sure.